I was just saying everything that I've done, like that I like, has been a result of something I found in research. Like for the town, I went down and just went through all the prisons, out there in Massachusetts, federal prisons, state prisons, and sat down and talked to guys who robbed trucks and banks. And, kind of sometimes, you want to know, and then sat down with the FBI guys and was like, what are they like? And the great shit, for me is that, and I'm in at Walpole, or I'm in the prison of Dedham or whatever. And I'm to some guy, I said, like, after talking to him for 2 hours, I was like, is anything just fucking weird ever happened or fucked up? Anything you remember? The guy was like, yeah, one time, we were coming out of this thing. We robbed this truck, and, we had the mask. We got in the switch car, and we drove around the corner and whatever. We pull up, and we get out with fucking guns, the mask, the whole thing. And we look over, and it's this cop sitting there doing construction duty. And I was like, right then, he tell me a story. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, what happened? He goes, he looked at us. We looked at him. He looked the other way.
Whoa.
And I was like, really? He goes, yeah. He didn't want to end up on the wall at the VFW. It was like...
These guys with full automatic weapons, masks on, switching cars.
I was like, all right, I'm putting that in the movie.
And it's a great moment in the town, like in the movie. Because, Renner, they all jump out of the things.
I remember that scene.
And then, here it is.
Yeah, exactly. It was like...
It's great, and it's this awkward... They just stop. And this dude, he sees them. They see him.
He's like, oh, fuck, we have to kill this guy.
Nope. He turns away.
Okay.
Wow.
It's such a great, but that's straight from research, which I always loved that story. And then the line is here. He put it here.
And one on up at the wall of the VFW. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a great line.
It's a great line.
It was such a simple explanation for what do you think he did? And why? Like, and that's exactly what it would have been. Like that guy, next day's picture would have been up in the wall at the VFW.
Yeah.
And he knew it, and everybody knew it. He said he didn't want to do it like that. That was, and that kind of stuff is, I don't know. It's very human calculations and interact. I mean, it's a very extreme version of it, but it also doesn't have. Sometimes it's not dramatic at all. It's like, yeah, that was an easy decision, and the guy never says anything. No, I didn't say anything. And kind of can't really blame him. It's,
The Town was a great fucking movie too, man. And I knew a lot of people like that. From boxing gyms and stuff. I knew a guy who was a hitman for Whitey Bulger. Really? And I knew a guy who was a friend of a brother of mine who went to jail for murder, for killing people. Yeah.
What town did you grow up in?
I lived in Newton.
You did?
I grew up I lived in Jamaica Plain for a little while. I lived in Newton, but I spent a lot of time in Boston because I was fighting. Right. I was mostly training. And so I was around a lot of these like very shady characters who were in the fighting world. Yeah. And a lot of them had backgrounds in crime. One of the guys that I trained with, he went to jail for a little while, and then he got arrested because a guy got killed, and they broke every bone in his body with a hammer and kept injecting him with cocaine to keep him awake while they were doing it. And then they cut his hands off and cut his head off.
Jesus
and this
Christ.
Guy that I used to train with got arrested for that.
Jesus.
Wow. Yeah, he didn't wind up going to jail for that. He's dead now, but he was somehow or another at least peripherally involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I didn't do any fighting, but I went around and found a lot of one of the things about being an actor is people will talk to you, which is a fucking amazing gift. Even if somebody's like, oh yeah, I killed guys. They'll just come out and it's kind of the rules all of a sudden don't apply. Like these guys in the prison, what the fuck are they going to talk? You know what I mean? But they're like interested in it for whatever. And, so you avail yourself of that. And then I had we had people around that movie who everybody knew, yeah, he did that job. He never got arrested. And so people, meet people, and talk to them. And it's interesting because such a good lesson for doing this job, which is that they're never how you think they're supposed to be, like the murderer person.
Right.
There's always something a little... I remember one guy was supposed to be like this really violent, kind of loose cannon fucking guy who supposedly had done all this shit, stabbed and killed 2 people at Faneuil Hall and shot these guys in a robbery. And he shows up with his polo shirt, kind of tucked in, He said, how's it going? Just I never would have fucking put this guy on fucking killing 4 people. You know what I mean? And they have a good time. So I love that one movie, and you're just thinking, fuck, man, this is why, and it's a really good lesson for, like, you know, we tend to read a script and, okay, this guy's the tough guy and he's going to be it's like you work with this, like, I had the opportunity to train with these Delta guys. Like, you know, it's the most elite special forces combat fucking operators in the world. I mean, I suppose the SEALs will take exception to that, but just numerically, right? I think there's been less than 900 guys ever in the history of Delta. You meet them, and they're not the biggest guys. They're not the toughest guys. They're not trying to fucking be hard. And, you know, they're the most relaxed, at ease. And, you know, I found myself just being like, finally I was like, can I just ask you, what do you think makes somebody, like, qualify for the Delta Force? Like, what's a good Delta operator? It's like, you know, problem solving. Problem solving? The guy goes, yeah, it's probably like your job. I was like, no, let me tell you, no, it isn't. It's really not like my job. I appreciate it. There's a very big fucking difference. He's like, you solve problems. Like, no one's trying to kill me. See, that's the thing. But that was the closest insight I got to it, which was, I've always kind of thought this about, like, a guys like Brady or something. There's guys that just don't get tight, and that they are kind of able to problem solve when the problem is like, well, that helicopter's crashed, and we're 200 miles inside Afghanistan, and we're outnumbered fucking 6-1. How do you think we should get home? Like, just having your wits about you to make that calculation, while, by the way, you're in a fucking gunfight and things, you know, I'm sure that does make, because those are the people where I'd be in a fucking panic and not have no idea what to do, and you get, like, attracted to the person who's like, seems to have it like, hey, it's good, we're gonna be okay. Everybody get your shit, we're going over here. You'll just follow that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, but it's it's not always the most, maybe it's just because they're so confident. They're not like, I don't need to prove that I can kick anybody's ass. I don't even get in fights. Like, I have a weapon. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's just it surprises me how those kinds of, like, extraordinary experiences in people, or extraordinary people, don't always manifest themselves in how they show up.
Right, we have caricatures in our head of what, like, these tough people are like. Well, you see that about MMA fighters. Like, there's a lot of MMA fighters, you meet them, they're like the sweetest, nicest, friendliest people in the world.
I remember going to one of the events in LA, I think it was at Staples, and I was backstage and was talking to one of, like, the lawyers for the UFC about, we were talking about Conor McGregor, and he was telling me a great story about him. And this guy walks up, and he's in like chinos, like khaki pants, and like a blue button-up, like, you know, kind of business shirt with spectacles, and he's very small, and I kind of don't really regard him, and I'm still hearing this story, and then Patrick goes, Matt, do you know Henry? And I turn, and it's Henry Cejudo, and I'm like, this fucking guy could wreck me right now. Like, absolutely fucking destroy me, and he is the guy that some dummy would try to pick on.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, he does not. He's not carrying himself. Like, he just is the thing. You know. And
you find out a little bit too late.
Yeah, don't find that one out late.
Yeah.